everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome to the RGA podcast with the RGA Network.
The RGA Network.
I'm John, and this is... Come on,
Matt
get that
Coots.
big long title.
Yep. Chief Operating Officer, COO. Super long. 3 letters. That's all it means.
I clean the floors.
You clean floors? Yeah.
Clean floors. That's what I
Chief floor cleaner?
do. That's it. Buy the bottle washer. I really don't wash bottles. But we have a great guest today.
We do. I'm really excited to bring on the jingle writer himself. Here he is, Mr. Cary.
Hey. Hey, guys.
Howdy. Go ahead and do a little introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and the type of work you do, all that stuff.
Well, it wouldn't be an RGA introduction if I didn't start with, I am the jingle writer, your top of mind provider. I write the songs that make the whole world buy. I write the songs that make them give you a try. So, yeah, I have been a jingle writer for almost 40 years now and specialize in creating that top of mind that we are all as business owners seeking for our marketing and advertising. You just heard some of my work as the intro to this podcast, and the theme song for RGA is my work. And I have glad to be here to share and impart whatever knowledge I can to the listeners and viewers on YouTube. So what can I tell you guys?
Fantastic. Well, you've done a lot of. I mean, first off, the Mark is always telling me about you had like some was it Disney singers or vocalists or something like that do the RGA one, and then the other there were some others at the same time, I think. But that means obviously you've got some connections in the media world. So why don't you just tell us some of the I'm sure you have all kinds of fun stories from your years of doing this and hobnobbing with the musical stars of the world.
He's been around.
Wait, we're not hobnobbing with the Goober Smoochers or whatever. What was that from? That was like from Q105 back in the day. Remember that, John?
Yes.
You probably do, right?
Actually, I do. Wow.
Been doing this a long time. Matt's a newcomer. He has no idea what we're talking.
I'm just laughing
I
and
just
trying to put a
aged
smile on
myself.
my face.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how did you end up utilizing them to do the vocals?
So actually, we are proximate, as obviously you know, to Orlando. And for as long as I've been in the business, I have been working with professional vocal producers and studios and singers, some of whom I've been working with for all 38, 39 years in one form or another. And it's something that I am excited about, and actually something that I pride myself on as a writer and presenter and producer is that I don't have a Cary sound, if you will, that I know there are some folks in the industry that, because they do all the talent, they're identified by themselves. And you shouldn't be identified by yourself, I don't believe, as a jingle writer. In fact, Billy Noakes, may she rest in peace, a fellow RGA member, wrote of me several years ago one of the favorite lines I've ever heard, which is, I'm the most famous songwriter you've never heard of. And it's simply because they don't put credits on commercials. They don't put credits on campaigns. So over the years, I've just collected, if you will, and partnered with and worked with phenomenal talent from Disney and Orlando area to Nashville, some great production folks and singers in Nashville, Vegas, LA, and they all have different vibes, different styles and feels. And I think that's important, especially when I'm doing a volume of work in a specific individual city. So in addition to the kind of work that you've heard locally or heard from some of our RGA members, much of my business actually is as a partner to TV and radio stations all across the country that hire me to come and meet their clients and write jingles for their clients in exchange for them agreeing to partner on the station. It's the free gift with purchase, if you will. And there have been some weeks where I might have 15 or 20 different jingles to produce that I've all written and presented. And once the client is on board, we go into the studio. So I want to make sure that I can offer clients variety and a unique sound for their productions. So long-winded answer, but that's how I got to know those folks.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things I wanted to bring up too. Is you don't just work here in Central Florida; you work all over the country. Partially because probably you work with a lot of marketing people, and they have clients all over the country. But at the same time, you know, you find people, or people find you, and you work with them, you know, all over. So that is pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
What led you to this career?
So those that know my story, I was actually they called it stockbroker back then, working with Merrill Lynch here in Clearwater, and realized this is really not what I wanted to pursue in my life. And I thought, you know, Barry Manilow, he got started in the jingle world. I want to be the next Barry Manilow. And through conversations with people, came to a producer here locally, my former partner, and went to work in the industry and thought, well, someday I'll become the next Barry Manilow. And on a local level, I kind of achieved much of that, those goals, but locally. So back in the mid to late 80s, I worked with and played music for Belinda Womack and Cool Reflections, which at the time was probably one of the top musical, let alone jazz, groups in the area. So I enjoyed that, much like Barry did that with Bette Midler. Wrote a lot of jingles, actually produced a Judeo rock, I call it, album. And there are tens of people that probably have copies of that.
Tens of people.
And actually, I also have had the pleasure of being produced on a much larger project. People in the contemporary Jewish music world will know Debbie Friedman, who has passed on several years back. Her producer put together a compilation of contemporary takes on every weekly Torah reading, and I was privileged to have written two of the songs for that project, which was pretty cool. But my album, A Time for God, to this day has some pretty cool music I'm very proud of, and every once in a while I'll get a chance to play. You may or may not have heard some of it when I do my posts and my live at the piano. Sometimes I'm playing music from those that recording.
Very cool. Artists.
They're so wacky.
Yeah, I gotta tell you. So I don't know if I told you this or not, but I played the piano for like 12 years.
What?
Yeah, when I was growing up.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I grew up and found sports and girls and
girls.
you know,
That ruins it
business
for
and-
every art. Yeah.
yeah.
But here's something
Just
they
no
don't
time
tell
for
you
it.
when you're taking music and all that stuff. Eventually, girls think that's sexy.
Well, the crazy thing is, so at the Masquerade of Connections, there was a piano, and I did sit down and just out of curiosity, I wanted to see if I could scale or not. And I could one-handed scale. My two-handed scale was off.
Yeah.
But yep.
My fingers don't work that way.
I just the muscle memory isn't there right now. You know, like I don't know how to. But yeah,
I took 5 years of piano,
yeah.
and all I can barely do is chopsticks. And even then, it's like my fingers just don't work that way anymore.
Yeah.
Well, kids, let me interject. Speaking of the 5 years, because that's all I took. Kids, if you're out there listening, and I know there's all kinds of people that listen and watch these podcasts and these YouTube videos for whatever reason, practice your scales.
Yep.
Okay, because if you don't practice your scales when you learn them, you can be 63 and not be able to play them. Just saying. I'm speaking for a friend.
Right,
Okay.
right.
I'm not
Speaking for a friend.
63, dude. I'm 56.
Yeah, man. I just turned 40.
I was
What is
listen.
this?
That was self-deprecation. I'm saying in case you didn't know.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought he said he was speaking for a friend, and I just assumed that he was talking about one of us. My God.
You can play. It's kind of funny. I've every time that we've been in the same group, he'll come up with just a really quick little thing, like a little jingle, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can't, He's a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you gotta have that mentality of rapping and singing and doing and just. It's always something quick and it's kind of amazing that people that can like you that can just pop stuff out and you're like, I'd have never thought of that.
My brain just doesn't function that way.
It does not.
Not on the musical side at least. So
so tell everybody at home, what are some of, I know you're the most famous person you've never, but what's some of the big boys that you've done?
Well, it depends on where you live, because as I mentioned before, I've done this as far west as Honolulu, far north as Fairbanks. So if you live in Alaska, I actually coined and produced a jingle for the Budweiser distributor there, and we came up with the Budweiser way to drink light beer for Bud Light, which I was very proud of. Out in Phoenix, in the Valley of the Sun YMCA, they were trying to rebrand and re-identify themselves. And for them, I came up with the idea that basically parts of speech, I said, when you know the who, what, where, and when, that's when you'll know the why. Right here locally, I think people know, when people ask me locally here in the Tampa Bay area, I will tell you that I have done 3 different versions. I don't claim to have done the first. I don't think I was even in the business at the time, but I have produced the current and most recent iterations of Wayne Schmidt. You get Wayne Schmidt with every car at Suncoast Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. Acre Air, they have a pretty simple call to action phone number, 1-800-WE-ARE-OPEN, is a very popular jingle. And of course, legions and legions of RGA members that when they remember to put them on their social media and use them, you can hear their jingles as well. So there's just a couple of them.
We talked about that last week, or a couple weeks ago, about it's amazing people will get stuff and then they will shelve it and they won't use it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, really, you paid money for that.
Yeah.
Why are you not using it?
You're just accumulating resources to never use them.
And someone creates a jingle for you. Oh my God, that's...
Well, in today's world of everything is digital and social media, and like, why wouldn't you put some sort of jingle on something?
I would be building ads, just static ads, and put the
bloody jingle in it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a video now. Right.
Anyways,
exactly.
It does boggle the mind.
It does. It makes you go...
It boggles the mind.
What's that song? Things that make you go,
Yeah, right. There you go.
Come on.
Is that a song
Cary,
or a jingle?
Funny. That's a song.
Oh, wow. Don't know. It's pre-mat.
Pre-mat.
It's pre-mat.
No, I'm not that old, dude. Good God. That was in the 80s or 90s. It was a song, Things That Make You
Bro,
Go,
I was born in the 80s.
Oh, maybe it was. Oops. I don't know. Now I'm going to search that one because I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Matt, because when I say this, it's older and older people I now can say this to, because one of my other anonymous past lives, I was the most famous figure in all of Gainesville, Florida, and yet nobody knew it because I was behind the costume of Albert the alligator. And now it's more often than not that I meet someone say, probably before you were even born, I was the school mascot. So
crazy.
Yeah, that was produced in 1990.
1990.
By CNC Music Factory.
I was 8.
You were 8. You were probably hopping around going, that's a cool song, that's a cool song.
Sure. I was busy taking piano lessons.
Probably.
Matt warned me about the rabbit holes. Just saying.
Oh yeah, dude. We
rabbit hole
hard.
rabbit
holes here.
See, and it's completely allowed on this. It's not so. For those of you who are new to RGA or to our podcast or our TV interview or any of the other content that we put out, this is a opportunity for people to basically spend some time with members, get to know them in a comfortable setting. We're just here to basically have fun. We're still going to say how, who you are and what you do and how they can get a hold of you and all of that. But, we also want people to kind of get to know you a little bit, right? So you're married, you've got kids. Now your kids sound like they're pretty awesome. So
I was just, so I was just lamenting, my wife and I, we were taking a walk, and I think 2 or 3 people stopped and asked us about our kids. They don't ask about us anymore. And I'm okay with that. I live vicariously through them, actually. So I have 3 kids. My oldest, Yael, is currently in the cast of Hadestown on Broadway. She is what they call a swing and an understudy, and actually covers 9 different roles in the show. And yesterday and tomorrow, she will have the opportunity. What's that?
I couldn't even play myself.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well,
more or less.
I don't even know how. I can't even fathom.
It's crazy.
I can't remember. My wife teases. I don't remember words to songs I wrote, let alone remembering 9 different movements, parts of singing, so she has the pleasure of having been added. One more. The latest was the female lead, Eurydice, in Hadestown, which is a love story about Eurydice and Orpheus, and it's I think I cried through the whole thing when I saw it 2 weeks ago for the first time.
What was her name again?
Her name is Yael. Yael, Yael. She goes by Yaya Reich, same as me. Yeah, and then my second daughter, who is in Manhattan as well, she just came off the national tour, Broadway tour of The Band's Visit, which if you happen to see it here in at the Straz, you would have seen my daughter performing. She too, on her tour, had the pleasure of being the understudy, and we had a chance to go to see her perform the lead role in Memphis, which was exciting. My son Avi, who may join this podcast and not even know it because he's due any minute. He is an avid musician. He plays drums with Ruth Eckerd Hall's big band and combo jazz band. He also last semester and then next semester will be playing drums with the St. Pete College jazz band. And he also is an avid golfer. So those of you that have followed me know that we were just out at Pebble Beach, where he had the honor of representing the first tee of St. Petersburg as one of 78 kids all around the country that got to play in a professional Pro-Am senior tour. They call it the Champions Tour now, out at Pebble Beach last month, and that was just an incredible experience. I know the smile never came off of his face, but I'm not sure who had more fun there, me or him. These are the golfers that, John, you and I grew up with. Matt, you may not know who they are. We're gonna play the age card for a little while here, but when you walk up to the practice tee and you're getting ready to tee up, and Vijay Singh walks up and says, "Hey, I'm going to play 9 holes with you guys." It's like, what? So yeah, it was unbelievable. So that's my kids. My wife is a rock star healthcare executive and doing all the traveling that I used to. So this year I'm basically going to mostly stay put here, do my networking, my chambering, and actually a lot of my business is done via Zoom. I still work with my media partners, agencies that I know around the country, and even more crazy is the shouldn't be crazy, but it still amazes me every day, the responses to my Facebook advertising. It's paid advertising, but every week I'm meeting new people, writing, singing, presenting to them, just like we're here on Zoom, and it's pretty cool. So that's what I spend my time doing now. In addition to still formulating the musical that Mark and I are going to write. So
that's awesome.
The RGA musical, or is this just in general?
It's a networking musical.
Okay, a networking musical. Okay.
Networking musical. Now RGA will be certainly
featured,
prominently featured. Yes, but I think So we just decided it's a fun, timely. I think if we can get a through line story, I've already got half the songs written, but we have to have a through line story that makes it engaging for the audiences. So
there we go.
I'm curious now.
I know, I'm slightly curious.
I'm like going, things that make you go,
I mean,
yeah. So
his family can literally run the entire play,
right?
I mean, he's got
exactly.
They can all memorize like 30 different things. It's like, okay,
we've already
sensing
got
a theme
crew
here. Yeah.
Well, and so it's funny because
the media recording.
There you go.
You'll handle
So-
casting and production. Done.
Yep.
We're
Done.
good.
Well, and it's funny because I think one of my original bucket list ideas was to write and produce a musical so my kids could be in it on Broadway. I don't need to do that anymore. They've done that without me.
There you go.
That's funny.
How does that make you feel when your kids start outshining you?
Bring it on.
Right? Isn't that
Beautiful.
great?
Bring it on.
Isn't
And Yael, as talented as she is as a Broadway talent, they have worked with me and actually done music and writing and lyrics and singing for me as well.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
it's pretty rewarding to see that come to fruition. All my kids have sung with me. Some of them because some of the jingles required, like when you do a children's dentistry jingle. We did a campaign for actually many years ago. We did a campaign for washing hands that most recently was revised and updated to wearing masks save lives out in California. Yeah, it's fun to have them involved.
For sure.
So we have a question for him, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Okay, so as you know, with a lot of the things that we've been creating during the course of 2022, and being a leader in a leadership role in your group, at the core of what we're trying to do is this whole belief that entrepreneurship is the pathway to financial freedom in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Some might even say other aspects of freedom besides just financial, but entrepreneurship is super important. So our focus is on providing the tools, the education, the resources, the things that people need, in addition to being able to give them a platform to share what they believe, right, and their products and services. So if we were to say, because you're familiar with how RGA speaks and all of that, so let's say that a couple years down the road, you were to be you were addressing a group of entrepreneurs and people on the RGA Speak stage. What is that one piece of advice that, if you took everything that you've learned thus far, personally and professionally, what would be that one piece of advice that you would want them to have? That ultimate, I don't want to say one-liner, but like that ultimate piece of advice that you feel at this point in time you would want to give them.
Keep going. I think keep going because there are, and it was featured a little bit actually in last month's closing, which is there are going to be setbacks, there are going to be obstacles. Just keep going. If you believe in your dream, if it aligns with your personal values and mission and why you do what you do, just keep moving forward. I think that if you've ever read Startup Nation, you will learn that most successes are as a result of the failures that preceded them. And so just keep moving forward. I guess in a marketing and a messaging, I would say be consistent and make sure that people hear your message and notice your message, because it's real easy to get lost in the sea of messages out there and the opportunities to be in front of people. Find the one that most aligns with who you're trying to reach and be consistent and just stay in front of them, and time will be your friend in that regard. And it may take a little while. It's not a straight line. It's kind of a exponential curve. There was a group of researchers that talked about the advertising effectiveness curve, and the average person wants to see dollar in, dollar out in a straight line. And it really is more, I don't have my chalkboard in front of me, but it's more exponential, where it may feel a little slow at the beginning, but once you cross a threshold, it exponentially grows and the results are exponential. So stick with it.
That was kind of the gist of the book, The Tipping Point, as well.
Stick with it.
Like there's that, you eventually reach that point where everything starts tipping the other way. Awesome, man. I appreciate that. we only have another minute and 45 seconds or so. Really briefly, just give me like 30 seconds on what your experience has been so far with RGA Speaks and actually running the business builders that are being held in each of the meetings. I know we just finished up the 3-month cycle, so just give me a brief. How do you feel like that's gone? Do you think it's been a benefit to your team and to the people that you're trying to help?
Yeah, no, I think I think it's been very, very effective, very helpful. I think to the point of why we've been trying to do this is it makes the part of our meetings, which are educational, our business builder, a little more focused, a little more structured, and they're topics that matter. So I think there's some consistency to that, and I think it's helpful. I know, as you know, today we kind of went a little off script because it was actually the week that we do go off script, and I asked people to reflect on their experiences and how it's helped, and it was really, I think, rewarding to see people say that they did the work, and when they did the work, things happened. I know I mentioned it for myself. It's kind of like you put things out there and somehow miraculously, that law of attraction, they happen. So if you use the tools that we're provided and we're providing to our team members and let them do the work. I think sometimes different leaders have different styles. I think if you bring the subject out and let the group do its work, it will be even better.
Awesome. All right, really quick, 5 seconds. Tell us where people can find you.
They can find me at thejinglewriter.com, thejinglewriter.com. They can see me on my website, my Facebook page, and that's how they find me.
Awesome. And at the RGA directory at rganetwork.net. All right, guys, thank you so much. Cary, thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode of the RGA podcast.
Bye, y'all.